Hello friends, welcome to my channel. This is Charan. In this video I will show you how to display records from a database using ASP.NET Core 3.0 version. And here we got the final output. Notice the header tags ASP.NET Core 3.0 tutorials, display records from database, and below that we have a table, and this table is from SQL Server Management Studio, employee ID, employee name, email and salary. That's it. We have implemented to display records from database using ASP.NET Core version 3.0. If you are a first time visitor to my channel, please subscribe to get the latest updates. Before writing the coding part to display records from database using ASP.NET Core, first we'll check a table in SQL Server Management Studio. The table name is the EMP JSON data, which contains 4 columns: EMP ID, EMP name, email and salary. Now my aim is I want to display these table details into a browser using ASP.NET Core, and this table I have created in this sample DB database. So let's write the coding part in Visual Studio 2019. For this video tutorial, I am creating a new ASP.NET Core. Go to File, New, Project, and from the projects I am selecting ASP.NET Core Web Application. Click Next. And the project name is Binding Data from Database. This is my project name. Now after adding the project name, click Create. And from the core web application, I'm selecting web application, and if you notice, I'm using ASP.NET Core version 3.0. Let's create. And the project is created successfully. Let's open Solution Explorer. First, in this project, I'm adding our connection string. Usually in ASP.NET we have web.config file where we can add our connection string. But in ASP.NET Core, we have appsettings.json file. Let's open that one. Now in this JSON file, let's add our data source connection string. Between curly braces, between double quotes, I'm adding connection strings, colon. Now between curly braces here, I'm adding my connection string name, which is my connection, colon, between double quotes. Now open Server Explorer, right click the data connections, add connection. I'm adding my SQL Server name. After adding SQL Server name, now I'm selecting the database name. The table we have created in the sample DB test connection is succeeded. Okay. And here we got the sample db.dbo is added into the data connections. Now we require the data source of the sample DB. Right click the mouse, go to properties. In the properties there is a connection string. Just copy that one, which is the data source, and paste between these double quotes. After that, the curly braces, add comma because it's a JSON file. After adding our connection string, next open Solution Explorer. Now we require the connection string class. For that, let's add a new folder, which is a model. Right click the mouse, add new folder. The folder name is model. Now in this model folder, I'm adding a class. Select the model folder, right click the mouse, add, select class, and the class name is connection DB class, which is a database class. Add. And here we got our connection DB class. Now in this connection DB class, I'm inheriting the DB context class. So this DB context class belongs to the package Microsoft.EntityFramework core. So let's import the namespace using Microsoft.EntityFramework. If you notice, we don't have the package Entity Framework core, so let's install, delete this one as well as this also. Open Solution Explorer. If I expand the dependencies folder, notice in the dependencies folder there is no any packages folder. So let's add the package name. Select Manage Netted Packages. Switch to the browse and search for Microsoft Entity Framework core. Let's install Microsoft Entity Framework core. The version is 3.0. Install. Click OK. I accept. And the package is installed successfully. Notice here we got an icon. Latest stable version is installed. So if you check the Solution Explorer, notice the packages folder is added under dependencies folder. When I expand this packages folder, notice the Microsoft.Entity Framework core, and also we require 3 more packages which are SQL Server. Let's install that one, Entity Framework Code.SQL Server, the version 3.0. Click OK. I accept, and the package is installed successfully. Notice the icon here. And the next package is design one. Install that one also. Okay. I accept. And design package is also installed successfully. Now we require the last one, which is a Entity Framework Code.Tools. Let's select that one and install. Okay, and I accept. And the tools package is also installed successfully. Let's open Solution Explorer. Notice now we got all the 4 packages are installed successfully into this packages folder under dependencies. And now let's switch to the connection.db class. Add first the entity framework using Microsoft.Entity Framework, then colon db context class. Now let's create a constructor for this class. ctor, click double tab. It will create a constructor. In this constructor I am adding db context options. In these options I am adding our connection, the class name. This class name I am adding here, then options colon base options. That's it. We have created the connection db class also. Now we require, open Solution Explorer. Let's add the connection string and this connection class db class in the startup.cs file. Open that one. Let's close this error list window as well as output. Come to the bottom. If you notice the configure service method, in this configure service method I am adding the services dot add db context db. So this db context belongs to the namespace using Microsoft dot entity framework core, and also we have to add the connection db class also, and this connection db class is saved in the models folder. So let's add that namespace also using the project name .model folder. Now come to the bottom. In the configure services After services dot add db context, in this db context I am adding the class name which contains our db context options. Then options dot use SQL server method. The SQL server method takes our connection string name, so configuration dot get connection string. This connection string, during double quotes I am adding our connection string name is my connection. Copy this one and paste here in the start.cs file. Let's close it. That's it. Up to now we have just finished the connection string part. Now we require a class to create the public properties. So again, open Solution Explorer. In the model folder I am adding a new class. Right click the model folder, add class. The class name, adding emp class add, and here we got our emp class, and this emp class I'm just defining the public properties. So first, in the public properties are the column names from the table. So prop proper double tap, which creates the property. The public int, the property name is, the first column name from the table is, I'm adding EID, so let's add that one, EID, and this EID column we need to add the key method, and this key method belongs to the namespace using system.componentModel.data notions. Now let's add the second property, prop double tap, which is a string property. The next one is the employee name, emp name. Copy this one, paste here, prop double tap, string, email, and the last one is salary, int salary. That's it. After we have added the properties, which are the column names from a table, then in the connection db class I'm adding the prop db set. In this db set I'm adding our class name emp class, and here the property name we must add the table name. Our table name is emp json data. Copy this one, paste here. After we call the emp class in this connection db class, and now open Solution Explorer. In the project, expand the pages folder which contains the index.cshtml. The index.cshtml is the default home page. Let's open that one. I want to display records from database into this CSHTML page. What I'm doing, I'm changing the headers. H1 ASP.NET Core 3.0 tutorials. H2 display records from database SQL server. Then I'm adding horizontal line. I don't require this default p tag, which I am deleting. Then I right click the mouse. If you notice here the page model, usually in ASP.NET we have code behind. Here we got the page model. select that one, and in the page model, notice there is a default code. One is a public void onGet method. And what I'm doing, first I'm adding the namespaces using Microsoft dot entity framework core, as well as I'm adding our model folder. First let's add the project name dot model folder. And now in the read only, let's delete this one. I'm adding my connection string db class. Let's create the object db, and then let's copy this one, add that one in the constructor. db is equals to db semicolon. After that, the most important, I'm adding the prop double quotes, the public IEnumerable, this IEnumerable, the type of objects to enumerate. I'm adding the class name emp class, and the property is get records. Now on void get method, get records is equals to underscore db dot, my table name is emp json data. I'm adding my table name dot to list async method. And if you notice, we got an error when I expand this one. The method is async, so we need to add the async task. That's it. We have written the coding part to fetch the records from this emp json data. Now we need to display that records in this index.cshtml. After the horizontal line, I'm adding a center tag, and between the center I'm adding the table element, and this table element contains a border 1. If you want, you can add the bootstrap theme also, but I'm not adding. I'm designing a simple table. Let's add the tr table headers. The first one is the employee ID. Let's check the column names. Employee ID. The second column name is emp name, table headers, email, and the last one is the salary. After that, to fetch the records, I'm using at for each loop variable item in model dot, I'm adding get records. This get records, if you notice in the page model, this is a property name I'm adding here, the get records. Now between these curly braces, tr table data at item dot, the first one I'm adding eid, td at item dot, email, td at item dot, the second and third one is the email, and the last column in the table, which is the salary. That's it. We have done the complete coding part. Now it's time to check the results on the browser. Let's save this file. Then I'm expanding browse with, I'm selecting the browse Google Chrome default, set as default browse. And here we got the final output. Notice the header tags ASP.NET Core 3.0 tutorials, display records from database, and below that we have a table, and this table is from SQL Server Management Studio, employee ID, employee name, email and salary. That's it. We have implemented to display records from database using ASP.NET Core version 3.0.